I think when I was younger and when I really started watching films, I wasn't interested much in family stories or some drama films in general because I found them to be quite boring. But I think that with time and with the amount you spend on watching films, you start to long for authenticity and realism, which is something that I found in uh, this film, Sentimental Value. If I saw this film a year or two ago, I wouldn't really appreciate it at all. I would probably say something along the lines that it's a boring film about daddy issues, which kind of is, but it's such great storytelling and really I think it works because it deals with this thing where people try to study psychology to understand why other people act like they do. This is kind of the same school of film. So yeah, great film. I think lately I have really started to appreciate this type of film that can explain something that troubles a person in a very poetic way. But yeah, then I saw Angel Heart, and yeah, it's not equally as nice. Honestly, this is a film that feels like somebody took Chinatown and The Ninth Gate, two films I really love, both by Polanski, funny enough. And they said, what if it was the same thing? But I know this one came out before The Ninth Gate, but you're much better off watching the two films I mentioned separately than watching Angel Heart. For 90% of the film, I was super bored, but then the conclusion at the end was actually kind of interesting, but a pretty boring film. In other news, I have finished watching Twin Peaks. Great show, but I have a lot to say about it. Before you say anything, I haven't seen The Return yet, but I'm gonna speak outside of that. But yeah, this is definitely a great TV show that suffers from its length. If this was 3 films, something like that, it would have worked perfectly. First season is very good. If it ended with season 1, yes, some question would have been unanswered, but it would have had a good ending. Because season 2 feels very forced. It feels like the heart of the show wasn't there anymore. I watched a documentary about how they made it. They pretty much all said the same thing, that it was too much. It was just too much. The stories went in some very strange directions. It made me realize how difficult it is to write a good ending, because the ending is either good in a way that it's satisfactory to everyone, or you write it in a way that kind of poses a question to the audience, like it's an open ending. The Lobster has a great ending where it kind of asks you, what would you do? But yeah, the ending can sometimes just be earlier in the story, like Death Note I use as an example, because there's something that happens in the middle of the manga or the anime where it could have ended there and it would have been perfect, but for whatever reason they keep it going and it just kind of gets too bland, and then the ending is even worse than, let's call it, your ending. I've heard that something similar happened in Stranger Things. I only saw the first season, and yeah, I liked it, but I didn't watch any other season because I thought that the first season was sufficient. Like it was fine to stop there. Again, because for me there was no reason to keep going, I guess. But and now you see everyone is unhappy with how it ended, kind of like Game of Thrones. I don't know how true it is, but I heard about this Japanese eating philosophy that you should eat until you're 80% full. Maybe something similar could be applied to TV shows, where there's a point where you're happy with what you saw, and yeah, of course you want a little more, but the little more could actually ruin the whole experience. If you went to a restaurant and you had terrible dessert, that's all you would remember. Anyways, after finishing Twin Peaks, I watched Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I consider this film to be outside of the Twin Peaks series. Of course, you benefit from watching Twin Peaks first and then watching this, which functions as a prequel. But the thing is, I think you gain a lot by not knowing the characters and who they are, and it's good that you don't have 2 seasons of package to each character, because then it lets you unlock your viewpoints on the characters, because in this film they feel, to me at least, that the characters have much more metaphysical, metaphoric meanings. So yeah, if you watched this before you saw Twin Peaks, I think you made the right move. It's an amazing film, and my only complaint is that David Bowie's in this film, but we don't see him enough. We should see him a little more. Yeah, and then I can tell you also I saw Bleeder, a nice Danish film that consists of 2 storylines. One about violence, but in a very realistic way, and how it affects people when they see it. While the other story is about a guy who is working at a film store. He's watching 10 to 12 films a week, and he has difficulties talking to women. If that sounds familiar, maybe you should check this film out, and I'll see you next time.